The beacon. Lieutenant Commander Maya Chen stifled a yawn as she monitored the communications array aboard Frontier Station Epsilon. The graveyard shift was always the quietest, with most of the station's crew asleep and only the essential systems requiring attention. 18 months into her 2-year deployment on humanity's furthest outpost, she had grown accustomed to the monotony. A soft chime from her console broke the silence. Maya straightened in her chair, blinking away fatigue as she studied the readout. An anomalous signal, faint but persistent, was registering at the edge of their detection range. She adjusted the array's focus, amplifying the signal. "Computer, analyze incoming transmission," she commanded, fingers dancing across the holographic interface. "Origin, composition, and potential meaning." "Working," the AI responded. "Signal originates from Sector 37 Delta, approximately 18 light-years beyond mapped space. Composition indicates non-human technology. Pattern suggests deliberate communication rather than stellar phenomena." Maya's pulse quickened. First contact scenarios were precisely what she had trained for, though they remained theoretical until now. "Can you decode it?" "Partial decode possible. Signal contains mathematical sequences consistent with universal constants. Suggests attempt at cross-species communication." "Is it a distress call?" Maya asked, already reaching for the emergency protocols manual. "Affirmative. Pattern and intensity indicate urgent situation. Signal contains visual data packet. Display." The holographic screen flickered to life, showing fragmented imagery of sleek, almost organic-looking vessels with distinctive spiral patterns. They were under attack from ominous, angular ships that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Energy weapons tore through the spiral ships, their destruction captured in silent explosions. Maya didn't hesitate. "Alert Station Commander Ortiz. Priority Alpha." Within minutes, the station's command center had come alive. Commander Ortiz studied the transmission with narrowed eyes, his weathered face illuminated by the holographic display. "How long has this been transmitting?" he asked. "Signal characteristics suggest approximately 72 hours, Commander," the AI responded. "Given distance, the events depicted occurred approximately 18 years ago." Ortiz frowned. "So whatever happened is long over?" "Not necessarily, sir," Maya interjected. "The signal contains temporal markers. It's been repeating, but with updated information. The conflict is ongoing." "You're saying they've been fighting for 18 years. The data suggests they're losing, sir. Slowly but steadily. This isn't just a distress call. It's a plea for intervention." Ortiz's expression darkened. "Lieutenant Commander, establish a secure channel to Earth Command. This goes straight to Admiral Koshiro." Admiral Yuki Koshiro stood before the United Earth Defense Council, her uniform crisp despite the early hour. The 12 council members watched in silence as she displayed the transmission received from Frontier Station Epsilon. "The signal originates from a previously unknown species we're designating as the Aerolax," Koshiro explained. "They appear to be under systematic attack from another species, designated Voidborn, based on their ship characteristics." Councilwoman Nadia Ibrahim leaned forward. "And you're certain this isn't an elaborate trap, drawing us into someone else's war?" "We can't be certain of anything, Councilwoman, but the mathematical language they're using indicates a civilization with ethical principles not dissimilar to our own. They're reaching out across the stars, knowing help might never come." "What exactly are they asking for?" asked Councilman Chenwei. "Military intervention," Koshiro replied bluntly. "Their remaining forces are concentrated in a single star system. They're on the verge of extinction." The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity had encountered other species before. Trade agreements existed with the mercantile Xalarians, and diplomatic relations had been established with the reclusive Novan collective. But never had Earth directly intervened in an interspecies conflict. "We cannot commit to a war 18 light-years beyond our territory," Councilman Vikram Singh stated firmly. Our mandate is to protect Earth and its colonies, not to police the galaxy." "With respect, Councilman," Koshiro countered, "this situation presents both moral and strategic considerations. If the Voidborn consume the Aeralax, what's to stop them from continuing their expansion? We may eventually face them regardless, but without potential allies." President Carmen Rodriguez, who had remained silent throughout the exchange, finally spoke. "What would intervention look like, Admiral?" Koshiro took a deep breath. "Madam President, members of the Council, it's time to activate the Sentinel Protocol." A ripple of surprise passed through the Council. The Sentinel Protocol had been established after the Colony Wars, but never implemented. It authorized the deployment of Earth's most advanced warships, vessels whose existence remained classified even to most of Earth's military. "You can't be serious," Ibrahim protested. "Those ships were built as a last resort for the defense of Earth itself. And they've sat in orbital docks for 15 years, Koshiro replied. "Meanwhile, their crews train endlessly for a moment that may never come. I'm not suggesting we send the entire fleet, just the EDF Vigilant." Rodriguez studied Koshiro's face. "You believe this is the right course?" "I do, Madam President. We have an opportunity to prevent a genocide and potentially gain an ally with technology we've never encountered before. The risks are significant, but the potential benefits, both moral and strategic, outweigh them." After 3 hours of intense debate, the Council voted 7-5 in favor of intervention. The Sentinel Protocol was activated for the first time in human history. Captain Elijah Reeves stood in the observation deck of the EDF Vigilant, watching as technicians swarmed around the massive warship, preparing it for departure. At nearly 2 kilometers in length, the Vigilant was the most powerful vessel ever constructed by human hands, though few knew of its existence. "Quite a sight, isn't she?" came a voice from behind him. Reeves turned to see Admiral Koshiro approaching. He snapped to attention. "Admiral." "At ease, Captain." Koshiro joined him at the viewport. 15 years in orbital dock. It's time she fulfilled her purpose. "My crew is ready, Admiral. We've trained for this moment our entire careers." Koshiro nodded. "The Council has authorized full deployment of the Vigilance capabilities if necessary. Your primary mission is to assess the situation and render assistance to the Aeralax. Secondary objectives include gathering intelligence on Voidborn technology and establishing diplomatic contact with the Aeralax. And if the situation is beyond our capabilities, then you withdraw and report back. This is not a suicide mission, Captain. The Vigilant may be powerful, but we're still dealing with unknown variables." Reeves nodded, his expression resolute. "We won't let Earth down, Admiral." "I know you won't." Koshiro handed him a data crystal. Complete technical analysis of the distress signal and all known information about both species. Lieutenant Commander Chen from Frontier Station Epsilon has been temporarily reassigned to your crew as communications specialist. She made first contact. Her insights will be valuable. Reeves accepted the crystal. "When do we depart?" 24 hours. The jump drives are being calibrated for extended travel. This will be the longest journey ever attempted by a human vessel." As Koshiro departed, Reeves turned back to the viewport, studying the ship that would carry humanity's response to a desperate plea from the stars. The Vigilant's sleek hull gleamed under the work lights, its advanced weaponry concealed beneath smooth panels. Earth's most closely guarded secret was about to be revealed to the galaxy. The crew of the Vigilant stood at attention as Captain Reeves addressed them from the command deck, his voice carrying throughout the ship via the internal communication system. "Men and women of the Earth Defense Force," he began, his deep voice resonating with conviction. "Today we embark on a mission unlike any in human history. 18 light years beyond our borders, a civilization faces extinction. They have reached out across the void, not knowing if anyone would answer. Today, humanity answers." He paused, looking at the assembled officers on the bridge. The best Earth had to offer, selected and trained in secret for years. Our mission carries risks. We journey beyond established supply lines, beyond immediate reinforcement. We face an enemy of unknown capabilities and motives, but we do not journey alone. We carry with us the finest technology humanity has developed, a ship designed to face the unimaginable, and most importantly, the ingenuity, courage, and determination that has carried our species from Earth's cradle to the stars. Maya Chen listened from her station at communications, feeling both pride and apprehension. This wasn't just a rescue mission. It was humanity's definitive statement to the galaxy about who they were as a species. Jump drive calibration complete, Captain, reported Commander Alexei Volkov, the ship's executive officer. All systems nominal. Reeves nodded. Helmsman Harper, take us out. Communications, send final confirmation to Earth Command. Message sent, Captain, Maya responded. Earth Command wishes us good hunting. Initiate jump sequence when ready, Commander Volkov. The massive ship moved away from Earth's orbital docks, its engines glowing with contained power. As it cleared the safety perimeter, the jump drive activated, a technology that allowed travel through artificially created wormholes, cutting years off interstellar journeys. Space itself seemed to fold before the Vigilant, opening into a swirling tunnel of light. The ship accelerated, crossing the threshold between normal space and the jump corridor. Behind them, Earth vanished as the wormhole closed. Their journey to answer a desperate call from the stars had begun. The response. 18 days later, the EDF Vigilant emerged from its final jump, the wormhole collapsing behind them as the massive warship transitioned back to normal space. The bridge crew worked in focused silence, sensor arrays extending to scan the unfamiliar star system. Full stealth protocols, Captain Reeves ordered. Passive sensors only. Let's see what we're dealing with before announcing our presence. The main view screen displayed a binary star system with 5 planets. The third planet, a blue-green world not unlike Earth, showed signs of advanced civilization, but also visible battle scars. Orbital debris fields testified to recent conflicts, and several artificial satellites appeared damaged or inactive. I've located the source of the distress signal, Captain, Maya reported. It's coming from the far side of the third planet's larger moon. Appears to be some kind of hidden base. Life signs? Reeves asked. Science officer Dr. Imani Okafor studied her readouts. Difficult to be certain at this range, but I'm detecting energy signatures consistent with a functioning habitat. Could be survivors. And hostiles. Tactical Officer Lieutenant Commander Jackson frowned at his display. 3 vessels in high orbit above the planet. Configuration matches the Void-borne ships from the transmission. They're running search patterns, looking for something. Or someone, Reeves murmured. Maintain stealth approach. Take us behind that moon. Let's make contact with our potential allies before engaging the hostiles. The Vigilant moved silently through space, its advanced stealth systems rendering it nearly invisible to conventional sensors. As they approached the moon, details of the hidden base became clearer. A structure partially built into the lunar surface, with only minimal energy emissions revealing its presence. They'd gone to great lengths to stay hidden, Volkov observed. Desperate times, Reeves replied. Lieutenant Commander Chen, prepare a tight beam transmission. Let's introduce ourselves. Maya crafted a message using the mathematical language from the original distress call, adding human linguistic patterns and a visual representation of the Vigilant. The response came almost immediately, a flood of data containing coordinates for a concealed docking bay. They're inviting us in, Captain, Maya said, surprise. Or setting a trap, Volkov cautioned. Reeves considered this. Prepare a shuttle. I'll lead the contact team personally. Commander Volkov, you have the con. If this goes sideways, your priority is the safety of this ship and reporting back to Earth. The shuttle descended toward the lunar base, guided by the coordinates provided. As they approached, a section of the seemingly solid surface retracted, revealing a docking bay large enough to accommodate vessels much bigger than their shuttle. Inside, Artificial gravity and atmosphere awaited them. Reeves led the away team. Maya for communications, Dr. Okafor for scientific analysis, Lieutenant Sato for security, and Dr. Elias Cohen, xenobiologist. They wore standard environmental suits as a precaution, weapons concealed but accessible. As the shuttle's ramp descended, they caught their first glimpse of the Aerolax. The aliens stood approximately 2 meters tall, with slender, almost avian physiques. Their skin had a subtle iridescent quality that shifted colors with movement, and their four-fingered hands ended in delicate, almost translucent digits. Most striking were their eyes, large, multifaceted organs that seemed to capture and reflect light in hypnotic patterns. One Aerolax stepped forward, wearing what appeared to be a ceremonial garment with intricate spiral patterns matching those on their ships. It raised both hands, palms forward in a universal gesture of peace. "We welcome the responders," it said, the words translated through a device on its chest. "I am Sentinel Talvarin, protector of the last Aerolax sanctuary." Maya stepped forward, matching the gesture. "I am Lieutenant Commander Maya Chen of the Earth Defense Force. This is Captain Elijah Reeves, commanding officer of the EDF Vigilant. We received your distress call." After all this time, Talvarin's voice carried a musical quality even through the translator. "We feared no one would come. The distances between stars are vast, and compassion sometimes travels slowly. We came as soon as we received your message," Reeves said. "We're prepared to offer assistance, but we need to understand the situation fully." Talvarin gestured toward a corridor. "Please follow. Time grows short. The Voidborn sensors improve with each cycle. Soon, even this sanctuary will be discovered." In a chamber filled with holographic displays, Talvarin and the Aerolax Council revealed the full extent of their plight. Once a peaceful confederation spanning 12 star systems, the Aerolax had encountered the Voidborn 20 Earth years earlier. What began as mysterious disappearances of outlying colonies escalated into full-scale invasion. "They consume," explained Elder Neri, an Aerolax whose iridescent skin had faded to pale blue with age. "Not merely resources or territory, but knowledge, culture, identity. They absorb what they find useful and destroy the rest." Holographic images showed Voidborn ships harvesting entire cities, breaking down structures, and seemingly absorbing the materials and technology. "Do you know what they want?" Dr. Cohen asked. "What drives them?" "They believe themselves to be the only worthy inheritors of the universe," Talvarin replied. "All other life is merely raw material for their ascension. We have intercepted enough of their communications to understand this much." "How many of your people remain?" Reeves asked quietly. "Approximately 30,000, Elder Neri answered, her voice heavy. "Once, we numbered in billions." The human team exchanged glances, the gravity of the situation sinking in. This wasn't merely a war. It was the systematic eradication of an entire civilization. "The Voidborn currently in orbit," Reeves said. "Are they a significant portion of their forces?" "No," Talvarin replied. "A mere scouting contingent. Their main fleet repositions every 12 cycles to prevent us from targeting their command structure. We estimate they maintain at least 300 warships in this sector alone." Maya watched Reeves carefully, knowing even the mighty Vigilant couldn't stand against such numbers. "You said they absorb technology," Dr. Okafor interjected. "Does that mean their capabilities vary depending on what they've consumed?" "Precisely," Talvarin confirmed. "Their original technology focused on matter conversion and energy absorption, but as they consumed more advanced civilizations, they incorporated new capabilities. They now utilize weapons and defenses adapted from 17 distinct technological bases, including our own." Reeves straightened, his decision made. "We can't defeat their entire fleet with one ship, but we might be able to buy you time to evacuate your remaining population. Earth would grant your people sanctuary." Elder Neri's multifaceted eyes seemed to shimmer with emotion. "You would do this for strangers?" "We would," Reeves confirmed. "But first, we need to deal with the immediate threat. Those 3 ships in orbit, if we eliminate them, how long before their absence is noticed? Their scheduled communication with the main fleet occurs every 14 Earth hours. Talvarin replied. They last reported approximately 3 hours ago. Reeves nodded. Then we have a window. Lieutenant Commander Chen returned to the Vigilant and briefed Commander Volkov. We need tactical options against these void-borne ships. As Maya departed, Reeves turned back to the Aerolax. Now tell me everything you know about void-borne weaknesses. Every technological advantage has its vulnerability. We just need to find it. The EDF Vigilant moved silently into attack position, its stealth systems still active as it approached the 3 void-borne vessels from below the orbital plane. On the bridge, Captain Reeves reviewed the plan one final time. Remember, these ships can absorb energy weapons directly into their hull matrix, he reminded his crew. Based on the Aerolax intelligence, conventional weapons will have minimal effect. We'll be using the gravitational disruptors instead. Gravitational disruptors charged and ready, Captain, reported Lieutenant Commander Jackson. Target solutions locked for sequential firing. Reeves nodded. Lieutenant Chen, status of the Aerolax evacuation. Their transport vessels are prepped and standing by, Maya answered. They'll launch as soon as we engage the Voidborn. Very well. Reeves settled into his command chair. Disengage stealth systems. All power to forward shields and weapons. Let's introduce ourselves. The Vigilance seemed to materialize in space as its stealth systems deactivated, the massive human warship suddenly appearing less than 10 kilometers from the nearest void-borne vessel. Before the alien ships could react, the Vigilant fired its first salvo. Rather than conventional energy weapons, the gravitational disruptors created localized distortions in space-time itself. Technology developed based on the same principles as the jump drive. The effect on the first void-borne ship was catastrophic. Unable to absorb this form of attack, its hull warped and twisted before structural integrity failed completely. The remaining 2 void-borne vessels responded immediately, energy weapons lancing out toward the Vigilant. The human warship's shields flared brilliantly as they absorbed the assault. Shields holding at 82%, reported Commander Volkov. Their weapons are adapting to our defensive frequency. Roll the ship, Reeves ordered. Present our ventral shields and prepare a second disruptor salvo. The Vigilant executed a perfect combat roll, bringing fresh shields to bear while simultaneously positioning its main weapons for another attack. The second disruptor blast caught one of the void-borne ships mid-maneuver, shattering its propulsion system and sending it tumbling into a decaying orbit. The third vessel is attempting to jump out of the system, Maya reported urgently. Not on my watch, Reeves replied. Helmsman, pursuit course, full impulse. The Vigilant surged forward, closing the distance to the fleeing void-borne ship. As they approached, however, the alien vessel suddenly changed tactics. Instead of continuing to flee, it reversed course, accelerating directly toward the human warship on a collision course. Evasive maneuvers, Reeves shouted. The Vigilant veered sharply, but the void-borne ship adjusted its trajectory, determined to ram the human vessel. At the last possible moment, Lieutenant Commander Jackson fired the forward point defense lasers, striking the void-borne ship's command section. The alien vessel shuddered, its course altering just enough to miss the Vigilant's main hull, but still clipping the starboard sensor array. The impact rocked the human warship, alarms blaring throughout the bridge. Damage report, Reeves demanded. Starboard sensors offline, Volkov responded. Hull breach on deck 7. Emergency force fields holding. Casualties reported in Engineering Section 4. Before they could recover, the wounded void-borne ship swung around for another attack, this time revealing a weapon they hadn't used before, a pulsing orb of what appeared to be liquid darkness. Unknown weapon charging, Jackson warned. Energy signature unlike anything in our database. All power to shields, Reeves ordered. Brace for impact. The dark orb launched toward the Vigilant, passing through the shields as if they weren't there. It struck the hull, and began to spread, a creeping darkness that seemed to consume the very material of the ship. Hull integrity failing where that thing hit us, Volkov reported, his voice tense. It's breaking down the molecular bonds of our armor plating. Dr. Okafor's voice cut through the chaos. Captain, the Aerolax files indicated the voidborn use phase-shifted matter conversion. Our conventional defenses won't work against it. Suggestions, Doctor, Reeves demanded. The jump drive creates a localized subspace field. If we generate a similar field around the affected area, it might force the converted matter back into normal phase. Reeves didn't hesitate. Do it. As engineering rerouted power to create the subspace field, the Vigilant fired its conventional weapons at the Voidborn ship, not to damage it, but to distract it. The gambit worked. The dark matter weapon dissipated as the subspace field engaged, and the Voidborn ship shifted position to avoid the incoming fire. We can't let it escape, Reeves said. If it reports back to their fleet, the Aerolax evacuation will be intercepted. Captain, Maya called out, I'm receiving a transmission from Sentinel Talvarin. The Aerolax have deployed their last weapon, something called a resonance cascade. On the view screen, they watched as a small Aerolax vessel approached the damaged Voidborn ship. Before the enemy could react, the Aerolax craft released a burst of energy that seemed to sync with the Voidborn ship's hull frequency. The effect was immediate and devastating. The alien vessel began to vibrate violently before collapsing in on itself. The Aerolax transports are away, Maya reported. All remaining survivors aboard and heading for the jump coordinates we provided. Reeves nodded grimly. Set course to rendezvous with the Aerolax fleet. We'll escort them back to Earth space. As the Vigilant moved to join the fleeing Aerolax vessels, Maya turned to the captain. Sir, I'm detecting multiple jump signatures at the edge of the system. Voidborn reinforcements. How many? At least 30 ships, Captain, and they're between us and our jump point. Reeves's expression remained calm despite the dire news. It seems we'll have to introduce ourselves properly to the Voidborn after all. He opened a channel to the entire ship. All hands, battle stations. This is not a drill. He turned to Maya. Contact the Aerolax. Tell them to proceed to the secondary jump coordinates. We'll hold off the Voidborn as long as possible, then join them. As the bridge crew prepared for the coming battle, Reeves studied the approaching Voidborn fleet. The odds were overwhelming, but he had no intention of abandoning their new allies. Humanity had answered a call from the stars, and they would see this through, whatever the cost. Let's show these Voidborn what happens when they threaten a species under humanity's protection, he said, his voice resolute. Helm, attack pattern Sierra. Weapons, target the lead vessels. It's time the Voidborn learned that humanity stands against extinction. The EDF Vigilant surged forward, a solitary defender against the darkness, carrying humanity's answer to a desperate plea across the stars. You are not alone.